Buddhism thrived in the 11th century India, 1,400 years after the death of Lord Buddha. During this golden age in Buddhist history, many spiritually accomplished yogins lived to show the ways to attain enlightenment within a lifetime by undergoing tremendously difficult trainings. It was said that these extraordinary human beings were able to fly in the sky, walk on water, bring the dead to life, and all kinds of miraculous deeds that are beyond the imagination of our common minds. Therefore, they were also known as Mahasiddhas, or the Great Ones, who possess incredible powers. Among the 84 most celebrated Mahasiddhas in historical India, Naropa was one of the most supreme examples, exhibiting countless enlightened activities and serving as an inspiring model for generations of Buddhist practitioners, even up until today. Living between 1016 and 1100 AD, Naropa followed the Buddha's example by renouncing his royal heritage and beautiful wife at an early age, in search for the spiritual path which would liberate him from sufferings. Naropa studied in many important seats for Buddhist studies, such as Kashmir and Nalanda, before meeting his destined guru Tilopa at a river in Mandi, northern India. During the 12 years under Tilopa's training, Naropa endured 12 major and 12 lesser hardships in order to purify his past misdeeds and emotion-induced obscurations. Finally, Naropa realized the clarity and harmony of mind. After attaining this magnificent realization, Naropa taught in many places and had numerous disciples, especially in Kashmir and Zanskar, where he established many monasteries and centers for spiritual trainings. The imposing Jamia Masjid in downtown Srinagar, the capital of Kashmir, used to be a huge gathering place where Naropa gave teachings to over tens of thousands of followers. The monastery was converted in the 13th century into one of Kashmir's largest mosques. The base of the 370 stone pillars in the 4 lofty prayer halls is the only proof of its ancient past. About 10 minutes' drive from Srinagar, in the area of Mount Kunumu, is the ancient site of Pulahari. This is the place where Naropa spent 6 years before becoming the abbot of Nalanda University, and where he stayed for more than 10 years after his enlightenment. His former wife, Niguma, became one of his most accomplished disciples and a great yogini in Pulahari. There are 2 caves in Pulahari, one used by Naropa and one by Niguma, both only 10 meters apart. Two self-arising rocks are found in Naropa's cave. The larger one symbolizes Naropa and the smaller one, Niguma. They represent the union of compassion and wisdom, the 2 essential elements for attaining perfect Buddhahood. The archaic Sani monastery of the Drukpa lineage in Zanskar is the place where Naropa flew up into the sky upon attaining enlightenment, whilst wearing the renowned 6-bone ornaments. Here, Naropa meditated in a small hut facing the Kanika Stupa and taught the people of Sani for a number of years. One of the important caves of Naropa in Zanskar is known as Zongkul Monastery, belonging to the Drukpa lineage. There are 2 caves in Dzongkul, one atop the other. The local monk said that after His Holiness, the Gyalwang Drukpa's visit in 2002, there was more spring water flowing down from the upper cave. Just outside the main cave, on a rock ceiling, there is the very arrow that Naropa shot from the opposite mountain across the Ating Gorge. The upper cave was used by Naropa for meditation, and he left one of his footprints here. His Holiness said that the statue of Naropa in this cave is an exact resemblance of Naropa himself. This is the cave where Naropa gave many of his final teachings and instructions to Marpa, his spiritual heir. Clinging to a tree-covered ridge above the old village of Pibiting in the Zanskar Valley is Takrimo Monastery. This is also a holy place where Naropa imparted many teachings to Marpa. There are also many other holy sites related to Naropa in Ladakh. One of them is Lama Yuru, belonging to the Drukpa lineage, where there is also a cave that Naropa lived in and practiced. So Naropa spent 12 years serving his guru Tilopa until the latter's death. Naropa himself was said to live until 1100 AD and then resurrected into light, leaving no physical remains. Located between the main Himalayan mountain range and the Tibetan plateau, Ladakh used to be a little Himalayan kingdom ruled by the descendants of 8th century Tibetan king Trisong Detsen. Today, Ladakh is part of the Jammu-Kashmir state of India. As its culture and landscape are quite similar to that of Tibet, Ladakh is also described as Little Tibet. Naropa had a very strong connection with Ladakh and its neighboring Zanskar and Kashmir. Since Changpa Gyari, the first Gyalwang Drukpa, who founded the Drukpa lineage in the 12th century AD, was recognized as the authentic reincarnation of Naropa. This explains the historical connections between Ladakh, Naropa and the Drukpa lineage. The later history of Ladakh also elucidates the spiritual link between the various Drukpa masters and the kingdom of Ladakh. In early 17th century AD, a great master of the Drukpa lineage, known as Tatsang Repa, came to Ladakh under the instruction of the 5th Gyalwang Drukpa Pagsam Wangpo. With the support of King Sengye Namgyal, he founded the famous Hemis Monastery. Hemis Monastery was built below the holy cave of Gotsangpa, one of the foremost disciples of the first Gyalwang Drukpa. Gotsangpa came to Ladakh from Tibet in the early 13th century on his way to India. Tatsang Repa's arrival resulted in the flourishing of the Drukpa lineage in Ladakh and neighboring Himalayan regions. And Tatsang Repa and his successive reincarnations became the spiritual gurus of Ladakhi kings and their people. Approximately 8 months before the Naropa ceremony, which would see His Holiness put on the precious ornaments of Naropa for the 3rd time, the Hemis committee began the construction of the Naropa Palace in She, under the instruction of His Holiness. His Holiness had already put on the Naropa's ornaments twice before the recent ceremony, once in 1980 and another in 1992 at the old palace of Naropa in Hemis Monastery. As a much larger audience of over 100,000 people were expected this time, a new building must be built in a wider and more spacious location to accommodate the new requirements, so that everyone could see His Holiness in Naropa's ornaments. It was decided then that the Naropa Palace be built in the location of the Drukpa Institute in She. His Holiness arrived in Leh, the capital of Ladakh, on the 23rd of June 2004, greeted warmly by a huge gathering of local and foreign devotees at the airport. There were at least 100 vehicles in the entourage procession, going from Leh Airport to the Ladakh Buddhist Association in Leh Bazaar, Naropa Palace in She, and finally to Hemis Monastery. Meanwhile, Lama Nawang, His Holiness's representative in Europe, and his 700 pilgrims from all over the world also began to arrive in groups to participate in the Naropa ceremony and the subsequent retreat in Kotsa. Over 700 tents, 60 bathrooms and 60 toilets were prepared for the pilgrims on the site of Naropa Palace in She by Sindhu Expeditions, the official tour agent for this pilgrimage.